So this is Heather Hink, and I'm delighted for her to be here today to be doing this interview with me. She's agreed to come on. We met in SCHH after our training through Laura Whitworth, and this is just an opportunity to hear a little bit more about Heather's background. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you, Cora. I'm so excited to be here with you today and have this
Oh,
little chat.
thank you for coming on. It's
Yeah,
really exciting to hear a little bit more about your background and how you trained, etc., and just all your experiences. So do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do, how you classify yourself? Because I know you've had training in a couple of different modalities, haven't you?
yeah, I have. So my name is Heather Hink. I'm with Quantum Healing Within, or that's the name that I have on my website and my YouTube channel. I've trained in Beyond Quantum Healing Hypnosis with Candace Carl Goldman, and I've trained in Soul Center Healing Hypnosis with Laura Whitworth. And my sessions use a little bit of a combination of both. I've sort of integrated both of those modalities, and they just work beautifully in my client sessions.
Well, that was the first time I ever saw you. You're Candice is it Candice Claw Goldman?
Candace, Carl Goldman, yep.
Yeah, she shared your session, the It Will Be Huge, and that was just
Oh,
so awesome. She was obviously impressed with it.
yeah,
I think we all were. It was like, wow, this is an epic session.
that was a fun session to do. Yeah,
Such an amazing
for
message.
sure.
Yeah, that was one of those sort of one-off one-off sessions that really caught my eye.
Thank you.
So what led you to begin this healing work then? Because you're how old are you now? You're quite young, aren't you? You look very young and beautiful
I'm
anyway.
I'm 47. I
How
just turned
are you?
47. Oh
My goodness gracious. So you're almost as old as me. My
yeah.
goodness, you look
Yeah.
like 30 something at the
Well,
very
thank
most.
you. And my daughter tells me I just turned 22, so I just go with that. That sounds better. I feel like we're getting younger anyway, right? Because as we ascend, they say we're going to get a little bit younger. So I just tell myself I look
Yeah.
younger every day. So
Yeah.
hopefully my body will continue to believe me.
Well, we're going to be hopefully leaving these bodies and turning into these beautiful light beings before too long.
Oh my goodness, won't that
The
be
ascension,
amazing?
if the ascension process goes to plan.
Yeah. So, okay. So repeat your question again because we got to
Yeah.
chatting and then I lost it.
Sorry. So it's like just the history of what led you into doing this healing work, really, what you were doing prior to this, and what led you down this path. Is that?
Yeah, it's funny because I would say the first part of my adult journey was spent as a web designer. I built
Ah,
websites and I was a graphic designer and marketing and email marketing and things like that. And I absolutely loved it. Just very
creativity.
creative work. Um, I guess I always had a love of self help topics and
Hmm.
self help books and metaphysical concepts and things. So I read a lot. I wouldn't say that I would have ever thought that I would be doing healing work, but I loved all of that. I loved understanding about the mind and how powerful it is and understanding your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and how that sort of helps you to manifest or to bring things that you don't want into your life. So I loved all of that. But, I think for me, it was as I went through my awakening, I really started to shift more into, I sort of felt this draw to wanting to do this type of work. And through my own journey, I found out that, I've done this in so many different lifetimes, this type of healing work, which we all have.
Ah,
We've all
yeah.
had those different lifetimes where we've been a healer. And I think now is just the time where that's all sort of coming back online and we're beginning to tap back into those different aspects and bring that back so we can do this healing as we move into the
Hmm.
ascension.
I was told that by two people as well. Sort of I had a reading with what's his name, Peter Maxwell Slattery, and healing
Mhm.
seemed to be like going back quite a long way into galactic. He said I healed planets at some point. I was like,
Yeah.
seems a bit
Oh, yeah.
epic.
I've heard that in
Whole planets.
sessions. That's amazing.
Yeah. So what happens when you had your spiritual awakening then? What occurred for you? Can you sort of put that into words, or is it too much to kind of?
Yeah, it is a lot.
What sparked it off? Do you
I'll
remember
give
a sort
you
of
I'll give you the
trigger?
abbreviated version though. My life, like many people who start to go through their awakening, it's almost like, okay, it's time for you to start waking up. It's time for you to start remembering.
Hmm.
And everything just really shifted in my life. Things sort of shifted out, but all of these new things started to shift in. Um, I had started a practice of meditation, like regular
Ah,
meditation. I found Dr. Joe Dispenza. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I've
And
heard of him. Yeah.
he's incredible. And I resonated so deeply with the content and the information that he shared. And he teaches people that they can completely transform their lives, their bodies, their illnesses through meditation. It's so powerful. And so I started this practice of meditation. I was probably doing it once or twice a day.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why. My guides were saying, okay, it's
Yeah.
time. So I was doing that very consistently. And I remember there was this one day that all of a sudden, sort of in the third eye area, I started to see this energy and it was moving and swirling and morphing. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, well, that's interesting. What's going on there? And the next thing I know, I'm hearing these thoughts come into my head, almost rapid fire. And
Wow.
it's not me. At least I didn't think it was me, but it was the most beautiful. We are here. We love you so much. We're all around you. I was going through some hard times. And they were like, you're going to get through this. You've got it. We're here for you. I'm tingling
Wow.
right now as I'm saying
Oh, me
this.
too.
Yeah. And it was just the most beautiful messages just coming in right after, one right after the other. And of
Hmm.
course, you think when you start to channel, when you start to connect, you're like, am I making that up? Or like,
Yeah.
what's going on there? But it just kept going. And what came through that day was that I'm your guardian angel.
Oh,
I heard that. And then I heard, we are the three. So I don't know if there were three guides coming through that day or what, but I did hear very clearly guardian angel.
oh, it's
And
beautiful.
from that point, everything about angels started coming into my reality. I was seeing the angel numbers all day, every day. If I didn't see 5 or 6 different patterns of numbers, I thought something was wrong. 555 and 222 and 1111.
Oh, beautiful.
And then all of these videos would pop up on my YouTube feed. You know how that happens. Just here's a
Yeah.
video that's supposed to be for you. And it was about angels. And I'd open up Netflix and there would be a documentary in the middle about angels. And it's like, I'm not searching for this stuff. It was just coming. So
Oh,
that was sort of my first step is, okay, acclimating and beginning to understand that angels are real. They're a part of our reality. I had one that had started to be able to communicate with me because through meditation, we are shifting our frequency and we're raising our vibration because we're getting out of the conscious mind.
yeah.
It's like what we're doing when we take someone into hypnosis. We're shifting their frequency so that they can connect to the higher dimensional beings and their higher self.
Yeah.
And it started with angels and then it led into galactic beings and trying to go, are you kidding me? Like, is this real? And figure out how I felt about that. And
So what galactic beings were they? Did
yeah.
they sort of identify themselves or?
Yeah, Pleiadians were the first ones that started knocking on my door very, very strongly.
Okay.
And the guardian angel that was coming to me was actually my Pleiadian guide.
Okay.
So I
Okay.
didn't. And that's just how he was representing himself to me because that was I think it was much easier to say, hey, I'm your guardian angel than, hey, I'm your Pleiadian guide. I would have been like, you're who? Like I didn't know anything. Like, who, you're what?
So he sort of identified himself as your guide rather than your higher self. Do you know sort of
Yeah.
were any of the messages that you were coming through, do you think that original three that you heard from, that might have been your higher self? Because I know that some people see their higher selves as a collective energy rather than just the one, don't they?
Possibly, I wondered that for years, and it's just been
Hmm.
recently that I've gotten the confirmation um, through a hypnosis session that that guide has been. It's a very strong guide that's with me. He
Hmm.
said, "I've been with you since you incarnated on that planet." He said, "You can think of me as your guardian angel because I've been with you through everything, and I'm always right there with you." So it absolutely could have been the higher self along with
Hmm.
that particular guide. And I don't know who the third one is, or even if I heard that right, because it was all so new. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it is. It's strange, isn't it? Because since I've been
yeah,
connecting as well, I asked to speak to like Archangel Michael quite often, but
yeah,
I have had sort of other voices come in that they just give very abrupt answers. If I haven't shielded really carefully, I get things
yeah,
come through and I say, like, are you of the light? And they'll just say no. And then I'll say, oh, I don't want to talk to you. Then go away, disconnect. And then I'll go away and I'll shield really, really thoroughly and make sure I'm just like, stop doing that, Cora. Stop talking to people randomly. It's not safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think I experienced a little bit of that when I first
Mm,
started, because you just don't know. You
yeah.
you have to sort of learn to figure out what's real and or what's of the light, and what maybe has a little bit more of an agenda.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lesson in discernment, isn't it?
Exactly. Because I think that 4D space is just teeming with like consciousnesses that probably just want to mess around with you and have a bit of fun, don't they? As well
Oh,
as sort of
absolutely.
people that are maybe have dark agendas. But
Yeah,
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
that's fascinating. So you were saying to me previously that you had a reading from Debbie Solaris. So on your, yeah,
yes.
so did you do that after you'd kind of made contact with these Palladian?
Yeah, and I didn't know that they were Pleiadians at the time. I didn't know that
Okay.
was who it was just sort of an unfolding. Like I said, the angels, and then it's starting to learn that, okay, there's galactic beings. And I sort of went through a really fast awakening. It was all the things came at me really fast to
Mm,
learn very quickly. And then even the dark stuff started coming very quickly, all the stuff with the children that goes on, and the
mm,
underground things, and the off world things that happen. And oh my goodness, I remember there were times where I was like, I don't know that I can handle this. But
it's a lot,
I
isn't
felt
it?
like, yeah, it was. I would have
Mm,
downloads almost just stop me in my tracks of, I don't even remember what it was, but very high level information, almost like it was given to me very quickly. And I had to try to sort of
ah,
figure out, what do I do with that?
mm,
But Pleiadians kept coming into my reality over and over and over again. And I finally did a reading with Debbie Solaris, and to see if I could understand a little bit more. And the first thing that she says, when, because you do it over the phone, the first
oh,
thing that
right,
she
okay.
said to me was, "It must be my Pleiadian day because you're the second one that I've had." So it was just a really nice confirmation that all of these things that were sort of coming to me and that I was being guided to read. And she was the second one. No, she was the third one by this point that had said Pleiadian to me.
Okay.
So I guess that's sort of my soul's origination. Maybe that's, because I've been many things. We all have
Yeah.
been many different things in different places, and even, on earth. But I think that's a big one for me.
Did she sort of say where your soul origin was? Because when I had mine, she sort of traced it back to a blue being that was part of sort of a group, and they seem to be like these overseers of the overseers or something. These sort of
Yeah, I think the first one that she told
just
me was in the Pleiades on, I guess it's a star. I don't know if they say star or planet, but Merope,
right, okay,
which is in the Pleiades. And she said that's where, I guess, there's a lot of healers, like energy healers. She called it something different. But that's where I sort of started my healing journey there.
hmm,
But then she traced it back to other places within the Pleiades that I also incarnated into the different stars and had sort of a different role. And when she was telling me about it, I was like, well, that makes sense, because it really sounded like a lot of the things that I'm doing in this life.
Ah, right, okay.
So almost like, the healing work's coming back, but I also had a very technical side, which I have that in this life as well. And I also had a very creative aspect. So it seems like all of those sort of are being married in this lifetime.
Yeah, so you're drawing on all of those energies.
And you said you were part of the Lyran Wars. Is that how you say it? Lyra?
Yes, yeah, that was the very first sort of galactic lifetime that I saw, and I've seen a couple there. I just saw like we'd left on a spaceship, and I saw the planet just exploding, and then we were when we came to Sirius, it was beautiful. There was like a circular area with these huge white crystals all around, and there were lots of these ladies and cats, sort of white spotty cats, and
Oh,
pouring water,
wow.
and this big huge green crystal. It was lovely there. So at least we found sanctuary. But yeah, there's a lot of war goes on, aren't there, in all these galaxies? It seems
Yeah.
they've got all this higher aspect of themselves. They're quite high energy beings, and yet there's still
Yeah.
all this war coming from the draconians, I suppose, and the
Right.
archon type beings or whoever they are. That got dumped. They seem to have got dumped in our galaxy, didn't they? And it caused loads
Yeah.
of trouble for everyone.
Yeah, and sometimes I wonder, as we do these sessions and we learn about some of these things, and we're going through an ascension, which is amazing. Hopefully we're going to get out of all of this war that we've experienced here. But I do wonder, is it going to continue to go on in other places? Will that ever end, or will there always be somebody out there trying to take somebody else down?
Strange, isn't it? It's such a
Yeah,
preoccupation with, yeah, it just seems like my children seem to watch every program they put on the TV, there's war. And I know that they've tried to infiltrate us with sort of a
yeah,
lot of mind control through the media, but it almost seems like everything's boring if everything's too calm and tranquilo. It's kind of like
right.
you want a bit of excitement, you need a bit of conflict and blow
Yep,
something up. It's
that's about right. That's all the video games that our kids play.
yeah. Yes, yeah, but then it's been years and years of conditioning, hasn't it? So
Yeah,
I'm just
that.
looking through my list. So we've covered a lot of the questions that we came to because with your spiritual awakening. So yeah, so it's the sort of the whole ascension process and things like that that was next on our list. So you've had quite a lot on that come through in your sessions, haven't you? With messages about the ascension
I
and
have very varied messages. It's I started watching these sessions before, just tons of these sessions before I ever thought that I would be doing them. And I loved that information, trying to figure out what exactly is going to happen. What is this shift to look like? And even doing the sessions with so many different clients, I still don't think I have a good understanding or idea of what actually is going to happen. I remember when I first started going through my awakening, I thought it was happening like tomorrow.
so did I. I was like,
I feel
buckle
like
up. It's
I do.
probably
I
going to
feel
happen
like I
next
almost
week.
ran out of my house going, if there's a
Where's the
flash in the
spaceship?
sky, it's
Yeah.
okay. I know what's going on. And I didn't know anything.
I was
Everybody's
a bit
looking at
like
me like,
that.
she's losing her mind. And then I had to
Did you?
realize it.
I was
Go
going to say,
ahead.
did you find the Alison Coe stuff? Did you find all of
Oh,
Alison
yeah.
Coe's? Yeah,
Oh,
I watched
yes. I
every
love
single one of
her.
those. Yeah.
I love her. Yeah, I've probably watched. I binge watch. I used to binge watch these sessions because I was
I
just
did too.
fascinated at the information.
Yeah, me
Um,
too.
but yeah, so what comes in, I don't know. I think it would be lovely to have a flash. I in the work that we do, we see so much density within a person.
Hmm.
And the way the guides have showed me is, we're moving from a lower dimension to a higher dimension, which is lighter. It's
Yeah.
all about releasing the density and releasing the emotions and letting go of the baggage. There's so many people that are just not even aware of this process and where to begin and what they need to do. And so I think this flash, needs to happen because it needs to sort of come through and sweep everything to the surface so we can get rid of it. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I almost feel too like this is more of a gradual process and something that each person has to go through on an individual level.
That's what I
You have,
think now.
yeah,
When
you
I
have to,
swung from one to the other, I used to think the flash would come and it would do all that work for us. But now I'm
right.
starting to think that the energy is like increasing gradually. But to the galactics, it's a flash because they see that all speeded up and it seems to be quick for them.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hard to know, isn't it? But
It is hard to know.
or perhaps by releasing all this density, we're then drawing the flash event to us because we allow
Yeah.
that to happen by releasing that.
Yeah. I think I'm just in a place now where I just enjoy the information that comes through. I don't hold on to it too heavily. I don't attach to it because I found myself in the beginning looking at certain dates, like everybody gets excited. Okay, the summer solstice is coming up, or the spring, equinox or whatever, and they're like, something major is going to happen on this date, and you get to that date, and then you get to the next day, and you're like, well, nothing happens, So I've learned to let go of my attachment to anything. Even when something comes through in a session, it's interesting information. I'm just going to sort of put it in my back pocket, and we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah. I don't think, it's sort of, it can be a little bit of a letdown, but sometimes when these big events are prophesized, that the energy does shift, or we can have timeline shifts, but it can be really subtle. People always talk about shifting timelines, don't they? That the ascension was going to happen a certain way, and then we jumped onto a different path, and now it's all completely different. So
and I think that's the case too, because when you listen to different sessions, so much different information. There's some sessions where people have brought in that there's going to be ships that come down and they're going to take people.
Yeah.
And I've heard that in many different practitioners' sessions.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, that doesn't really sound right to me. But how do I know that something like that's not going to happen? I didn't know I was going to wake up in the way that I did. So how can I say that it is true or not true? But then you hear other people with different stories or different things, and you hear many people that match up with that. I think there's a possibility that we have a number of different timelines that we can experience. And maybe some people are going to experience it in this way, and maybe some are going to experience it in this way, and these are going to have a completely different experience.
Yeah, and that's also possible, isn't it? Yeah, because I've been told that a few times actually. It's all sort of the perception of the person, and also I've asked sort of which of these things is correct, and they'll just say, well, all of them. I can't say that any of them aren't correct. So that would explain it as well, wouldn't it? That other people are on their own sort of different paths and trajectories, and they see things and perceive them in their own way and experience them. I don't really like the thought of spaceships coming down, because I've heard about people sort of having their minds kind of so that they're like quite sort of dazed and confused and don't really know what's going on, and they're shepherded onto these ships, and you just think, oh, that doesn't sound very safe, really.
It sounds a little fearful to me.
Yeah,
because,
a little bit non-consensual. It's sort of
right.
It's nice to know that we're sovereign and it's our choice, and it's all sort of what we would like to choose for ourselves rather than having it imposed upon us, kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exciting. So in terms of like sessions that you've done, then how long have you been doing sessions now? How many do you feel you've done? You must have done quite a lot, have you not?
I've done quite a few. I started at the end of, what is this year, 2022? I think I started at the end of 2020. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been
I feel like years are just starting to run together. When we hit 2020, I feel like everything is just one long year. It seems like, so I get confused. I've been doing it for a while. I've done quite a few sessions. I feel like I've just been really blessed to work with a lot of people around the world. So I've had some pretty incredible sessions. Yeah.
And do you feel there's been sort of periods of time where you've had like certain themes with the clients that have come to you? Because do you feel that, because sometimes it's almost as if the clients can assist you as well, or would there be sort of like a bunch of people with a certain issue that are quite similar? So that, do you ever find that, or is it all quite varied and there's no real pattern to it?
I think it's been more varied for me. I do know that there was a massive shift in my sessions when I started implementing Laura's entity release into the sessions. And before I started working with that, I sort of had a feeling that there was something more going on with some of my clients, but I just couldn't quite figure it out. And I feel like the universe sort of pushed me back into her reality, and you need to take this course. And I signed up with her, and she sent me all of the stuff. And when I saw how she does it and put that into my sessions, and she even said, it's once you learn how to do it, the universe is going to send you all of the clients. It's going to explode. She was not kidding. She was not kidding. My sessions went crazy with people who had lots of attachments. That was a big switch for me, where I started to, almost to a point where at first it was a little overwhelming because I didn't know if I was quite ready for it. I almost was a little fearful at first, like, oh, I don't know if I'm ready to start dealing with this. But once I got in there and started using that method, it was amazing to see the difference of somebody coming in with all of these issues and things that they've been trying to figure out throughout their whole life with no success. And then you go through a session and you pull off 5 to 10 different things, and you can trace back all of those entities and attachments to the issues that the client is having.
It is amazing,
and then to know that that's going to disappear from their life it's quite incredible. So that would be the big sort of repeating pattern that I'm getting tongue tied. That would be the thing that sort of flowed into my life that I had a ton of at one time, for sure.
I think I was a bit the same. I was a little bit fearful of like reptilians and the whole concept of those darker energies, until I realized that actually they've all really been manipulated by this quite evil Archon race, and they're sort of puppeted in a way. So a lot of these, even though they have done horrible things and they are probably a bit scary if you came face to face with them, they actually want to ascend now. They want to get out of here. They want to be free. They also want to be sovereign. So when they're given the opportunity to, quite often they're all quite keen to, yes please, thank you for helping.
Do you find that? Because that's one of the most favorite things in the sessions is when you have a darker energy that's at first a little bit like cranky, and and then you show it the light that it has that power and they want to convert. I think that's one of the coolest things that we get to do.
Definitely. I mean, the Earthbound spirits are just beautiful, but that's the thing that's touched my heart the most, just having a spirit that didn't feel worthy to go to the light. They just didn't think that there'd be a place for them there, and when they say, I never knew, I didn't know, nobody told me, they just thought they would be condemned to hell or something, so they just kind of hung around in this reality, sort of not wanting to go anywhere. And when they actually get there and their family's there and they're just so thankful, it's beautiful.
Isn't that wonderful? I had a client yesterday who had what he called a near-death experience. She actually died and went onto the other side and can remember that experience. And she said, I was so confused. I didn't know what to do. She described the light that she saw, which is the light that we use, the light of source in these sessions. She did not know what to do. And she called out for help because she was very confused and almost even fearful to go into that light because she didn't know what to expect. And she said the most beautiful angel appeared right next to me and took me. And she said, we went flying. She said, it was so fast, it almost made me, a little dizzy. You think that when you come out of the body, when you pass, that we just automatically know where to go and what to do. And that's not the case. We find out that's not the case. They get confused. They miss seeing the light. They're fearful, like you said. It's not as straightforward as I think we believe.
There's a lot of children as well, aren't there? Very young souls who just are just scared and just want their mum, so they don't really think to go to the light because they're still stuck in that mentality of being a very small child. So they just want someone to take care of them. So that's so beautiful when they go back and realise that they're not alone anymore.
I love that part.
So have you got any sessions that have been your favourites, sort of ones that stick with you that just really touched your heart, or are there too many to choose from?
There's so many. There's so many. Just they're all, I don't know. They're all so beautiful in so many different ways. I love it in the sessions when we can connect in with the higher dimensional beings. I love that information that comes in where we can learn more about what is out there. What have we not even begun to tap into that we can we can begin to understand. I can get lost in those sessions sometimes. Like I'm just having a chat between, some beings from another planet. And I just want to sit there and be like, tell me more. But I love the sessions too, that, like I said, the transformation where you have a person come in and they are so defeated because they just have this constant feeling of unworthiness and, these constant thoughts about themselves. I'm not good enough. I don't deserve that. Or they're dealing with these issues that they've not been able to heal. And they've been to doctors and they've tried all the traditional forms of trying to heal themselves, and it hasn't worked. And then in these sessions, we can get to the root of that. We can understand, is that something from this lifetime that's unhealed? Is that still a past life that's affecting you? Or do you have something attached to you that's not supposed to be there? Those lost souls, even though it is lovely to help them go to the light and assist them, they create a lot of problems within our clients because they're projecting their own issues and fears and things, because they still hold all that. So that sort of becomes your issues. So to see a client come in and they have all of this stuff, on their paperwork, and then we work through it and we connect things back and we clear it off. It's like looking at a brand new person sometimes when they come out of the tail end of that.
Yeah. And they're always really sorry, aren't they? They're kind of like, I thought I was helping. I'm really sorry.
Oh,
I
they
didn't mean
do.
to give you a headache for the past 20 years or whatever it is they've been doing.
Right. I'm sorry I told you were not good enough. Lord, I love you. Yeah. And you think, don't you realize that though? Because they do. They're always sorry. They always apologize. I'm so sorry.
I guess because they're stuck in that sort of negative mindset that they held when they died, whatever they were experiencing at that time, with the fear of what was going on for them or whatever. They can't see out of that until they get out of that loop, and then they're back with source and can see it from a higher perspective, and suddenly it's like, God damn it, what was I doing?
Yeah, you get stuck in that. I mean, and that's the thing to realize. Like I said, you don't pop out of your body and just now I'm sure some people do, maybe some people do, they automatically go into that light and it's just easy, but many get stuck and they don't lose that who they are. They are still the same person. They still have the same aches and pains. I had one client that had severe back pain for a very long time and never could figure out what was going on. And her attachment, when we took him back to how he died, it was in a battle where he had been sliced all the way through his back with a sword. And so he was in so much pain, because you can imagine that's horrific. And he had been projecting all of that pain onto her. So you don't lose all of those experiences. You still stay stuck sort of in that last moment of who you were, and you bring that into another person.
It's crazy, isn't it? And I've also had people that have been stabbed in a previous life, and so someone was stabbed within the back or shot with an arrow, and then like some sort of spidery thing attached at that point. So it was like an odd entity type attachment, but it wasn't even human shaped. It was like came from somewhere and just took advantage of that moment of pain and implanted themselves. And then it hopped along through different lifetimes. You think, how is this crazy stuff even possible?
Yeah, I sometimes you're just like, you've got an attachment who's got an attachment, and it's, and then there was a witch that put it there, or some black magic that was placed, and you're just going, I don't even understand how this is possible. Just call in the angels, just call in Michael, can you help?
Yeah, and that's what I find really awesome, that there is that team of archangels there that just have this role to assist us, that they just seem to have been placed there specifically to help humanity. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's quite incredible. Yeah, I'm always surprised, sometimes when we do these things in these sessions, I'll think, okay, try this. And somehow it always magically works. But I love, when I can't think of anything else to say to the attachment, to try to get it to leave or whatever, I just ask the archangels to talk to it. And then to hear what the archangels tell it, they'll usually convince
Yeah.
convince it for me if I can't do it.
That's a
So
really good idea.
yeah,
That's a good
it's pretty
idea.
interesting to see what they, because I'm always like this going, please say something, please say something. And they do. And then the
Yeah.
entity will say, they tell me that I'm light and I have bigger purpose if I'll go back into the light and join back with source.
Oh,
And I
that's
love
great.
it. Yeah.
I guess they know that entity from a higher perspective, don't they? So they've got
Oh,
the overview,
absolutely.
so they know what to say to make it
Absolutely.
get the picture.
Yeah.
Come on,
Yeah.
boy. Off you come now. Yeah.
So fun.
Oh, that's been a fascinating conversation. So how long have we been talking? Maybe we should call it a day there. What do you think?
All right.
End the
Absolutely.
interview on a high note.
Yeah.
Is there anything final that you want to add to that, or
Oh, this has been fun. It's been nice just to chat with you and
yeah.
share some of this information. And we'll have to have a reverse chat one day so I can ask you some questions as well.
Yeah, this is the first time I've done an interview, so I think, yeah, it's been quite a lovely experience. Yeah, thank
Yeah,
you.
enjoyed it.
Well, hopefully other people will enjoy hearing a little bit more about your story as well. So that would be good to share because
Thank
I'm not sure that
you.
you've, yeah, shared that too much. That's been a pleasure. Right, let's say goodbye and then we can,
Thank you, Cora. I
yeah.
appreciate it. This has
Oh,
been
thank
enjoyable.
you. Thank you. Okay.
Thank
Goodbye then.
you. Good to see you.